In this lesson, we're going to talk about how we handle significant figures when we're doing calculations. We've looked at how to deal with significant figures when we're dealing with numbers, but we have to look at the results of calculations as well. So let's look at addition and subtraction first. The answer will always be based on the least number of decimal places. So if we're adding the numbers 1.2 plus 3.31, our calculator answer would give us 4.51. And that's the mathematical answer, but we want the chemistry answer or the scientific answer, and so we need to make sure we're indicating our answer with the same level of precision as the numbers that went into it. And so we would round this to 4.5, because what we see is that we have one decimal place in 1.2, we have two decimal places in 3.31, so our answer must only have one decimal place in the answer. For multiplication and division, the rules are different. Our answer is based on the least number of significant figures. The number 1.2 has two significant figures. 3.31 has three significant figures. And what we see in our answer is the calculator answer. We have 3.972. But we need to round our answer to have two sig figs, since that's the least number of significant figures of a number that went into finding the answer. So we round our answer to 4.0 so that we have two sig figs in our answer. When we're rounding, we always look at the first digit to be dropped. So the last digit that we're keeping in these two examples is the number that is underlined. So when we look at 3.402198, 2 is the last digit we're keeping, so we look at the 1. Because it is less than 5, we are going to round that to 3.402. When we look at 10.3911, 3 is the last digit we are keeping, so we look at the next digit, which is a 9, to determine whether or not we are going to round up or leave the 3 as it is. Because it's 5 or greater, we're going to round up. So we write our 10 point, and then we round that 3 to a 4. It doesn't matter what digits are after that next digit, we only look at that first digit to determine whether we round up or down. 5 or greater rounds up, below 5 rounds down. When you're doing multiple calculations, a good rule of thumb is to keep at least one extra digit as you're working through the problem and then round to the correct number of significant figures at the end. If you're doing it in your calculator and have more values saved in there as you continue the problem, that's perfectly fine. Either way will give you a correct answer. Let's look at another example of an addition problem. When we look at this problem, when we add up our numbers, what we're looking for is the number that has the least number of decimal places. Not the least number of sig figs, not the least number of numbers before the decimal place, but the least number of decimal places. And in this problem, it's 11.79. It has two decimal places, therefore our answer must also have two decimal places. So we see that we're going to have 34.22. We're going to look at the 3 to determine whether or not we round up or down. Since 3 is less than 5, we're going to leave that value at 34.22. Now an example for you to try. What is the answer to the correct number of significant figures for the problem shown? The value from the calculator display is given on the page. Notice here in 7.814 we have 4 significant figures. 0.30 has two significant figures because the 0 at the beginning is simply a placeholder 0. And the 22 has two significant figures. Therefore, our answer must also have two significant figures. 1 is the last digit we're keeping, so we're going to look at the next digit, which is a 5, to determine that we need to round up to 52 for our final answer.